What is going on, everybody? It is lunchtime, lunch with the Clydesdale. What's going on? It's a Thursday afternoon as we are setting ourselves up for a big competition weekend, which, if you haven't noticed already, has already kicked off. There are the Rebel Renegade Games live in Africa. The teams have already kicked off, and individuals will do one event here once the teams are done. I don't really know the time conversion, but it seems like an hour after these guys start, it was going to be the individuals will start. But you can get one event from the Rebel Renegade Games over in Africa. This is the team division, but they are already up and running. How cool is that? And it is in English.
This is going to be very close. CrossFit Taniwa has got one period to go. Let's go, Samal.
We've got an English broadcast of the Rebel Renegade Games programmed by Mayhem Athlete. Surprise, surprise. So there we go. Sarah Cooper, what is going on today? Kenneth the Lap, Andrew Sten, drive carefully. Keep those hands at 10 and 2 all the way down to Knoxville. I wish I was going with you, buddy. So wish I was going to be there. Stowe, that's the teams. They're off and running over in Africa, but we got some competition going. And so, in an hour or so, we'll get to see Sarah Sigmund's daughter with her last shot to make the CrossFit Games. So super stoked about that we actually get to watch some competition today. It's been a slow news week in the CrossFit space as everybody's just kind of prepping for these 4 events this weekend. So, I did notice that the Savant podcast had a stream test out, testing out all their equipment as they're going to go live tomorrow with the Syndicate Crown. Hopefully everything is going well with that. The couple minutes I tuned in, they were having a couple camera issues, but I'm sure they'll get all those ironed out by the time tomorrow rolls around. Ken Walters, even though she isn't a top 30, it sure would be nice to see Sarah Sigmund-Sutter make it on her way out. What's up, Craig? Sarah, do we know if you have to be a member to watch all weekend? I do not know if you have to be a member. I know that is what started some debate on the Be Friendly Fitness broadcast yesterday or 2 days ago, but I don't know if that's for real or not. They may be doing the test just on the members only page, so they're not broadcasting live as they're testing out equipment to the world. Craig says Rebel Renegade Games coverage is great so far. Well, all we have is the teams up yet, but I did notice it's a really intimate setting, very small arena. Craig, you missed it. We actually were showing the broadcast at the top of the show. So, but it's a very intimate setting. I actually have it up running on my other screen. It doesn't look very long, and I kind of wanted to talk about that too. Syndicate Crown has shortened their floor this year, and we can take a look at that as well. Dense Updates actually posted a reel. Here, let me pause it. Where she shows the floor, and it is much smaller than it has been in years past. So this is a view from the stands. What's cool about Knoxville is you are elevated above the floor, so everybody can see, because even if people are standing up, you can see over top of them in the stadium seating. But you can see that there's the rig in the same place it always is. But the finish line is about the halfway mark. And there's where the Sevon podcast will be broadcasting from. But these stands were usually another length of the floor down. And so I wonder if they are trying to compact the crowd into one half of the arena so that half of the arena looks really, really full. And last year, Wilson and group did a great job of not letting anybody into these upper seats until the lower seats had filled. So they had all this up here roped off until the bottom filled up. So then the crowd was like really on top, and the coverage showed some pretty good shots of like what looked to be a full crowd, and it was pretty full last year. And then once that bottom area filled, then they unroped the top, and everybody was allowed to go up to the top. But this year they have shortened the floor, which I get it from an optics standpoint, but you're taking away transition time. And I wonder if some people will get an advantage because the transition time from apparatus to apparatus has to be smaller if your floor is half as long. And so I just wonder how that's going to play out. That's going to be something I'm watching for going into the weekend. By shrinking the floor down, if people who run to the next event had an advantage on the long floor to those who just walked. Now you have a shorter floor. That's less an advantage. And will it affect anything at the end of the weekend? So just some things I've been noticing as I've been peering around on the internet and different places to see what's going on. It's been a weird 24 hours. Got off the show yesterday, finished my work day. As my work day was ending, my wife got a call that her cousin, who she's very close with, they were born on the same day, 1 year apart, and have been very, very close their whole lives. She passed away yesterday afternoon, right about 4:30, and we had heard that she was going downhill. We were trying to make the decision, could we make it back in time to see her? We would not have made it back in time to see her. And when we called, my wife was able to FaceTime with her before she passed away. And so I know there's a funeral in my future, and I don't know how that will affect the show, but I will let you guys know if there is a point in time where I won't be able to do the show because I'll be traveling to Pennsylvania for the funeral. We're hearing that it's not going to be until next week. But yeah, so it was a pretty emotional evening last night. And in addition to that, I shared 2 days ago some things with my daughter and her maybe current boyfriend possibly proposing, and how she feels like that's a dilemma. And so we've been dealing with that as well. Like where does she go from here with that? Because she's so happy in Montana. She says she's not leaving. Even if he proposes, she's not leaving Montana. She loves it there. She loves what she gets to do every day. And so, yeah, all that kind of stuff happening in the last 24 hours. But thank you, everybody, for the condolences. Again, my wife was really close with her. I got to know her over the years. I mean, my wife and I have been together 32 years or something like that. So, yeah, her family's my family. And, but yeah, so we'll be heading to that at some point in the near future. Not to bring everybody down. So I want to bring everybody up. I don't know if you guys saw this. I think it's a leak that this is going to be event 2 at the CrossFit Games. I think Dave Castro said something like, safety be damned. We wanted to do something fun. So this is going to be event 2 at the CrossFit Games. Reality is, this is actually it's called the cheese roll race. And these people, you can see the cheese bouncing in front, and these people chase this cheese down a hill. And the goal is to be the one that catches it. Um, I, I don't know how people don't have broken limbs. It is it's crazy incredible that people actually do this, but they flip, and it's insane. It's insane. They're completely out of control. People take each other out. But it's one of the funniest things I've ever seen. And it's been around since like the 1820s. They've been doing this every year since the 1820s. So, fun contest. If anybody wants to go to the UK and sign up, I'm sure they take all comers. So that is the cheese roll over in the UK. Sarah Cooper, I've watched one here. It's hilarious. Jody Lynn, my body would be wrecked. The PFAA rep to the Sevon podcast, too dangerous. We will protest a cheese rolling race at the CrossFit Games and encourage our members to refuse the event. Okay, we'll have to take that into consideration for sure. So yeah, so there's that. I wanted to ask you guys. Barbell Spin posted that Scott Panchek did a collaboration with Innovate to come up with a new Scott Panchek shoe for Innovate. Are Innovate shoes relevant anymore? I mean, Scott Panchek hasn't competed in the elite division for a couple years. He's your big name. Does anybody wear Innovates anymore? When I first got into CrossFit, everybody had Innovates. Or Merrill's, I think they were. Everybody was wearing those two shoes. And then they just kind of faded away. And now it seems like they're trying to make a comeback, but it's weird. Sarah Cooper, I think Spiegel is sponsored by them too. I think Spiegel has been sponsored by every shoe. I think she was, and then she left them, and then she went to Tier, and then she left them, and then she went to Rad, and then she left them, and maybe back to Tier. I don't even know. It seems SEMA Holy Balls, we don't need any more shoes. What's funny is every time I bring up shoes on this show, like we get into these long debates over which one is the best. And to me, like CrossFit shoes are like Chinese restaurants. Everybody has their favorite and they refuse to do anything else. Danny Spiegel still does CrossFit. I don't know. I don't think she does CrossFit. She does fitnessing. Shoe choices have been a mess since Reebok pissed off Greg. Yeah. I got the new Adidas drop set 3s after watching the WFP, and I just like the looks of them. They're very 1980s, which is when I grew up, and I wanted to try them on, and I really, really like them. Really like the drop set 3s. But I've been a Reebok guy my whole CrossFitting life. And I have so many pairs of Reeboks from being a volunteer where I got them for free, we used to have a Reebok outlet store north of Columbus, and I would get them for like $30 a pair. So I have so many in my closet. I really need to get rid of some because they take up way, way too much space. Craig says that Danny's on a team. I heard rumors she was going to do Invictus. So good for her. Good for her. She'd be a great team athlete. she has some really, really big time home runs. And there's an easier way to hide her on everything but a run. And she's actually a really good gymnast too. Really good gymnast. It's just the endurance part of it, and being able to break things up a little bit more on a team is probably very conducive to her. And she'll probably be really, really good as a team participant. So they're having some fun out there in the Rebel Throwdown. Then this again is the teams. They just kicked off. I love this intimate setting of like a little bit of an arena. You can see the finish line is kind of the fullest part, maybe right in front of us here by the rig. But it looks like they have pretty good attendance for, I think it's Thursday night there. So it's not even Friday yet. But yeah, so soon we'll have the individual athletes in about I think like an hour. But we'll see. This is heat 3 of the team, so maybe less than an hour. The individuals will hit the floor at the Rebel Renegade Games. I'm just excited to watch something. It's been such a slow news week. Edging, hard to run with legs like fire hydrants. Trust me, I know. The reason this show is called Clydesdale is because I am not a small man, and my legs are massive, and running is my least favorite thing. But I just, yeah. When I first got into CrossFit, I really started to embrace the running because I was tired of it sucking so much. And so I started running twice a week. I would do like a 2-mile run on a Tuesday night, and every Saturday or Sunday I would do a 4-mile run. Just to learn how to kind of like pace through it, so that, and I got to a point where I got to a point where the running didn't suck anymore, and it just depended on my attitude. How much do I want to push it or not? Because I did have, once I started running more frequently, I had paces. I could do a harder push run, or I could do just a paced run, depending on what the workout was. And so it gave me options and a much better head mindset. Gosh, I'd love to get back to that. It's funny, on Monday, I used to run in this park, and that's where my wife and I went for our pseudo picnic, that she couldn't get out of the car because of her knee replacement surgery. And so we just kind of sat in the park, but we were right by where I ran. And I found in this park a 1-mile loop through the woods. And I just started running like 4 laps every Saturday or Sunday of that 1-mile loop. But yeah. Sarah says jump rope is my least favorite thing. What's crazy is when I used to love jump rope. I used to love double unders. When I first started CrossFit, I got really good at double unders really fast. And then when I hurt my back, they went away. And I've not been able to get them back consistently since. So yeah, now it's just frustrating for me because I've known how to do them. I just can't get the rhythm back. And it's probably because with my back injury that I had, I just don't have the bounding that I used to have. And so the double unders are just becoming harder. Meredith Jones says a mile loop through the woods is my kind of jam. Yeah, it was just really nice because it was shaded, and some of it, I mean, it was probably 60-40 shaded to the run. So you're a little bit in and out of the woods, but I really, really enjoyed it. I've just got to get back to that place again where I'm okay with kind of doing that. So, wow, my dog is losing his mind because someone is at my door. I'm trying to check my blink and it doesn't show anybody. So I don't know. He's just losing his mind to lose his mind. He is something. Ever since my wife has been hurt, or not hurt, but recovering from her knee surgery, he's just been pickle to deal with. He just wants to be by her side all the time. He doesn't want to do his business outside. It's just a mess. He's like a child. But anyway, fun stuff. Oh, there we go. And there was absolutely nothing outside. Oh no, there was a guy. Looked like just a salesman. Bark all you want, Walter. Bark all you want. Anyway, again, there's not a lot to talk about today. I did watch the TFX Behind the Scenes Volume 2. Really enjoyed getting to hear from Sydney and Olivia at the end of the competition, and them getting back to the games after missing Olivia last year, Sydney the last 2 years, and finally getting back. It was really cool to kind of see this and hear how aware Sydney was of what Hannah Black was doing at the end of the race, that she definitely had her in her sights and knew where she was at all times and trying to make sure that she at least stayed with her, and how that all played out. And it was interesting to hear from Hannah's boyfriend, who talked about how just days earlier she did the whole thing touch and go with no problem, and it just wasn't there for her that day. Those are the parts I really like about the behind the scenes stuff. That's the stuff you don't get on a normal broadcast or Instagram or anything like that. But it was really, really well done by them to get a little bit of that behind the scenes. I also thought it was cool that Bryson got an interview with the event director of the WFP, and him talking about what they liked, what they didn't like about what they had done. And so that was really good too. But yeah, really enjoyed it. If you haven't seen it already, Volume 1 and Volume 2 are now available for that. And then this weekend, guys, we're going to have 4 events. We have Rebel Renegade Games, which is on right now. The teams, I think the last heat is going. That's on their YouTube channel. Then we have the Far East Throwdown. That will be on their YouTube channel this weekend. And we have the Syndicate Crown, which is on the Sevon podcast channel. And then we have Torian Pro, which is either on their website or their YouTube channel. There has been a little bit of conflicting information. I think it's their YouTube channel that they just post to their website. But either one of those places, you'll be able to see the Torian Pro. And maybe we'll finally know if Tia Claire Toomey is retiring or not, or if it was just trolling us the whole time. Taylor's interview with Ed was funny. I thought it was tense. I'm not sure how funny I thought it was at the moment, and not sure how funny I would have thought about it if I was in the moment. So, but it was interesting for sure, and it was really, really tense. I watched barbell spin last night. Of course, I disagreed with a lot of what John had picked. I have a hard time when he goes off on these rants about how Erica Folo is much fitter than Lexi Neely. Yet, Erica Folo has never been to the CrossFit Games, and Lexi Neely has. And what indicators have there been that Lexi Neely has not been fit? Like, those are things that he goes down these paths where I'm just like, dude, I have no idea where your mind is working. Erica Folo collapsed last year at the end of Syndicate. She has never been to the game. She's never placed high at any big event. Lexi Neely has been to the games. She qualified out of the East last year, which was super competitive and beat a lot of good athletes to get into the CrossFit Games. I just find that bizarre. Sarah says, I'm rooting for Folo, but she didn't do well at Waza either. Correct. I like her. I think she's a really cool lady, and I hope she does well. But the hill that John's willing to die on for her, and I can say, like, as someone in this line of whatever I do, when you interview someone, you do get a bond with them, and so you let that affect your decision making. Erica has been on their podcast. I'm sure that affects it. I don't believe Lexi has been. And so that's probably part of it. But for me, until Erica can prove it, I would put Lexi above her at this point. I don't think I've really made picks for this weekend, but for Syndicate for sure, I think Caroline Stanley gets the ticket, as well as, I'm trying to think who the other person I had there. I think I had Lexi Neely, maybe. I don't think the Wells sisters are going to get tickets this week. I don't. I don't know. Shelby Neal was disappointing at Mayhem. I'd really like to see her put it together for this. And I think she has the potential to do so. One bad event shouldn't knock her down after 2 straight CrossFit Games appearances. On the men's side, I've been saying it all along. I think Seth Stovall, this is his year to get a ticket. And I'm going to say, I'd really like to see Spencer Panchek. That's one of those like heart picks. I'm a big Panchek guy. Let me look at their lineup real quick, just so I'm not missing somebody. They are posting so much stuff, it's hard to find. And they kick off tomorrow with Heavy Isabel, which just haven't gotten enough of that. I can see the workouts. I cannot. Oh, here's the roster stuff. Okay. Well, my coach at CrossFit Polaris is going to be there, Alex Majors. So I will actually be rooting him on. I don't think he's going to punch his ticket. Let me ask you guys this. I see Ty Jenkins coming in from Craig. I've heard a lot about Ty Jenkins. And a lot of people were referencing WFP for that. At WFP, Ty got to use, he was in the challenger division, so he got to use lighter weights. Does that affect how good he looked? And should we take that into full account? Or do the lighter weights misrepresent what they truly are? I'm taking Seth Stovall and Jack Rosema. That's who I'm taking on the men's side. And on the women's side, I am taking Caroline Stanley and Lexi Neely. Yep, those are my two picks. Sarah, I agree with you 100%. I hope they don't say punch their ticket 100 times in the stream. I try to avoid it, but it's so hard. You hear it so many times, it just kind of like rolls into your head as you're talking. And I really, really, really try to not do that. That challenger division weight makes no sense to me. If they are there to challenge the pros, why not use the same? I completely agree. Because at the end of the day, the points you earn, yes, in the challenger division are less than the pro, but it still counts towards, do you make it to the championship? So if like Ty, he does this well in the challenger division, and then next time he gets a qualifying spot into the pro division. Now he earns points, but part of his points were earned at less weight. It's not apples to apples. And that drives me bananas. I don't know why it drives me bananas, and I'm talking about a lot of fruit here, but I do think they should be using the same amount of weight for sure. And I think they're afraid that the pros will be embarrassed if they're beaten by challengers. But come on, we need thicker skin than that. Torian, I think that Tia's going to win. I think that I'm going to go Daisy McDonald gets her qualification to the games. And then on the men's side, I think I have Peter Ellis and Bailey Martin. Rebel Renegade, I hope Sarah gets her spot. I don't really know enough about Far East and Rebel to make calls in other areas. Craig is hoping for Hannah. I don't think this competing as much as she has competed, traveling halfway around the world, that is not ideal. And I love Hannah. We did her first ever podcast. She is awesome. And I think she's going to be good in a year or two. But not this year. Sarah says Dwan Young for Far East. I think that's a good pick. I think Sihir Kaya probably has the advantage, but we'll see. So yeah, so those are the picks. And then I'm going to leave you with something goofy and petty again today. We've kind of been doing that a little bit this week, and Jody loves the petty hate. So yesterday I did the 6 artists that Prince hated. Today I'm doing the 6 actors that Martin Scorsese hated and refused to work with ever again. And if you don't know who Martin Scorsese is, but he was Goodfellas, he was Wolf of Wall Street, plus a million other great movies, Gangs of New York, so on and so forth. But the first actor that he refused to work with ever again was James Caan. Apparently they tried to work together, but they were both so alpha that they could not come to agreement on things. And so right after Caan had played Sonny Corleone in The Godfather, Martin Scorsese thought he would be a good person to have in his next project. The relationship was so bad, the project never even got off the ground. And Martin Scorsese refused to ever work with him again. The next person that he refused to work with was Mark Wahlberg. They actually did a film together, and Mark Wahlberg was actually nominated for Best Actor in this movie, and I don't remember which one it was. I wish I did, but Mark Wahlberg refused to tone down what Scorsese wanted. Scorsese wanted a very simple, straightforward performance. And Mark Wahlberg went over the top, and it just did not go well. And then they refused to ever work together again after that. The next one is Julia Roberts. Apparently they tried to work together on a project. And it was a period piece, Age of Innocence, maybe. And apparently the story is Scorsese wanted her to wear the corset so it looked authentic. She said she couldn't breathe in it. They came to a head, and then Julia Roberts was replaced with Michelle Pfeiffer. And then Scorsese refused to ever work with her again. The next one is Ryan O'Neal. Ryan O'Neal was originally the pick to play Raging Bull, Jake LaMotta in Raging Bull. They came to a lot of disagreements in that, and Ryan O'Neal was replaced quickly with Robert De Niro, and then that became one of De Niro's most iconic roles, but he then refused to work with Ryan O'Neal ever again. Next one is Winona Ryder, again from Age of Innocence. He didn't feel she had the depth she needed to be a good actress and was tired of messing around with her. And even though she finished that project, never worked with her again. And finally, after Man on the Moon and The Truman Show, Martin Scorsese and Jim Carrey tried to work on a biopic of somebody famous. And now I can't remember. But anyway, and they got together, and Scorsese could not stand Jim Carrey and his antics. And so that project never got off the ground either. And they refused to ever work together again. So Martin Scorsese, the 6 actors he hated were James Caan, Mark Wahlberg, Julia Roberts, Ryan O'Neal, Winona Ryder, and Jim Carrey. Just a fun way to bring a little funny hate to the podcast to end it today and to make Jody Lynn smile. And I was surprised, the big names. When I got through this, I was expecting people that I hadn't really heard of. Meredith says they all sound like people with big personalities. I think that's it. I think that Scorsese himself has a big personality, and he doesn't want someone else in the room that goes toe to toe with that. So Ken Walter says, sounds like Scorsese has the problem. Well, he does have a lot of people that want to work with him. DiCaprio, what's his name? De Niro. All of them seem to be just fine with working with them. Jay Birch, afternoon. Just finished my walk with Leo. Well, good. You had a good walk, man. Hope you have a good day down there. With that, guys, competition start here soon. We have the individuals in Rebel Renegade, and then tomorrow morning we kick off the Syndicate Crown. We'll be on tomorrow, I think, unless something crazy happens with the funeral. We'll be on tomorrow And hopefully we'll have an event to review or talk about, at least from Syndicate. And I'm sure we'll have a couple from the Torian, and we'll be able to talk about some actual CrossFit competition tomorrow. With that, guys, I got to get back to work. You knuckleheads need to get back to work. We'll see everybody tomorrow on lunch with the Clydesdale. Bye, guys.